Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is another video. This one's going to be interesting, so hold on to your seats. First things first, a little bit of information here. I see these three top stories that I do in my Google search on the DCEU. One is 15 reasons why the MCU is actually worse than the DCEU. Look, I don't really care about that article because MCU is MCU, DCEU is DCEU. I don't really care, you know. MCU does their thing one way, DCEU does its thing another way. I'm not even trying to compare the two, alright? The other article says Wonder Woman's awesome new DCEU intro features Green Lantern and a whole cast of the Justice League. That's true. That's pretty cool. It follows in, if you guys watch Justice League Action on Cartoon Network, they're each 10-minute flicks. Go ahead and check it out on Cartoon Network. It's really cool. In 10 minutes, they give you a whole story, a mini story. It's really cool. So yeah, that intro is pretty much the same to the intro we saw for Wonder Woman, just different animation. And then Justice League to determine DCEU's future. They're still giving the same rhetoric, which means they're still full of crap, right? Let's go with that. Let's go with that for a minute. Alright, if you look at this here, this says, who's to blame for DCEU's problems? And they have Zack Snyder's face up there, so I guess Zack Snyder's to blame. And that would make sense. It'd be very convenient at this time, seeing Wonder Woman has done well with another director. And the DCEU is on the verge of what everybody will say being universally accepted. So obviously Zack Snyder's to blame for that. Of course, of course. How many of you think Zack Snyder's to blame for the DCEU's poor critical ratings? Never mind, David Ayer was the one that directed Suicide Squad. So I'm not blaming Zack Snyder for that at all. In fact, the whole reason why I'm even interested in the DCEU is because of Zack Snyder's style of directing. Now, let me give you a little background so you'll understand. Zack Snyder, I didn't give a damn about Zack Snyder, quite frankly. I didn't give a damn about Superman. When I was young, of course I cared about Superman. I loved Superman. I used to jump all around the place, put a towel and tie a towel around my neck or a piece of cloth around my neck. I'd be just running all around the place with my hands extended, and I felt as if I was flying. Sometimes I'd climb up a wall and jump off of it just to feel like Superman flying through the air. You know, little children, we were crazy. So when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I was doing that kind of crazy stuff, right? That's children, right? You know, you get the G.I. Joe action figures, you watch the cartoons in the morning, superheroes, you felt good, you felt like you were a hero, you wanted to save the day, it was pumped with adrenaline, so you go jump off something. You know how children are, they're crazy as hell, right? Right, that was when I was a kid. I outgrew that though, and as I was growing up, I was getting less and less associated with comic books and cartoons. Yes, I used to read comic books. My uncle would leave a whole bunch of comic books up by my grandmother. So I'd go up by my grandmother and read a ton of comic books. We're talking about Thor, The Incredible Hulk, Star Wars, Spider-Man, Batman comics. We had all kinds of comics. And then in elementary school, you know, you have comics. Kids bring comics to school. So I'd read Archie and Batman, I think it was Superman comics, right? We all knew about Wonder Woman, Superman. Your lunch kits, you would have Superman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man. You know how it goes with kids. You know, we watched the comics on TV, Super Friends, and in 1985, I think it was Superman and He-Man and She-Ra and G.I. Joe and Transformers. And you know how it went on a Sunday morning. Underdog. You know, the whole decalogue of comics and comic books. And then of course the newspapers always had the comic section, so you go in and read things like Dennis the Menace and Mandrake, Modesty Blaze and Spider-Man, and you had the comics which were black and white, and you had the comics which were colored. You know about all that? I don't know if you guys know about all this stuff. I was born in the 70s, so I was a little too young to see Superman in 1978, but I did see Superman, the reruns of Superman, in the 80s, and you'd see it on TV, and of course you had Knight Rider, $6 Million Man, Bionic Woman, The Incredible Hulks, Street Hawk. I don't know if you guys know about these things. You got to be a child of the 80s actually to know that. We had And then in the 90s, we had Xena Warrior Princess, Conan the Barbarian. Oh, Conan the Barbarian was revolutionary with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But then we had Conan the Barbarian again, and Hercules. Remember Hercules? That was a TV show with Xena. Doctor Who. Oh, that was great. Doctor Who was really great. That was a whole other thing. That really shaped my mind. But yeah, anyway, I'm saying that as a child, it was really wonderful to have these figures. It wasn't so much occultic stuff. It was superheroes. It was Sesame Street. You know, it was Muppets, the Muppet Show, that kind of stuff, right? But as you grow out from being a child, and you get responsibilities, and then you get older, and suddenly the comics and the comic book movies, you don't have time for those things, right? So, you know, when I was a teenager, I was exposed to Batman 1989, and that was revolutionary for me because never seen a superhero in a dark kind of context with dark jokes, and Tim Burton was a horror director, so it was just perfect. It was like a match made in heaven. And for me, just to see people dying and killing and all of this stuff happening in a movie, the stakes, and Batman was badass, and he was bulletproof, his car was bulletproof and bomb-proof, you know, it was revolutionary. And then Danny Elfman's music, who can forget that? Bum, 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 bum. Bum 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 bum, you know, just epic, right? And the set, even though it was gothic and everything, and it kind of felt real, kind of felt fake, it was just one of those things because of the grittiness of the movie and the life and death matters, and just the humor was dark and everything, that you just had to love it, right? So I was looking forward to Tim Burton's Batman 1992, Batman Returns. And I was really sorry that Tim Burton never did any more Batman movies. We went to Schumacher, and I just hated Schumacher's movies. And basically Batman and Robin was like a death sentence on Batman. I didn't want to see Batman anymore. I didn't want to play the action figures. I didn't want to play with the toys. I was just like, I was so disoriented, okay? I was close to 2000. Anyway, but that's not the thing. They had the comic book movie with Batman. That was revolutionary as well. Not movie, sorry, television series. Batman, the animated series. I never really stuck around for Justice League because, as I said before, life got to me. But I did love the animated series. And I didn't care about Superman. I didn't care about Batman. I didn't care about any comic book movie until The Matrix came out. And then The Matrix in 1999 revolutionized everything for everybody. I mean, it just made you a different way of looking at life and everything. And so I got the whole Matrix trilogy. The Wachowski brothers changed my life. They definitely changed a lot of people's lives, actually. We're all living in the Matrix. We're all living in a dream. And then after The Matrix, didn't really watch the comic book movies. I think the only thing I looked at was Spider-Man. I love that Spider-Man story. Tobey Maguire, best thing ever. But that was it for me in comic book movies, basically. And that was mainly because they tried to revamp, what was it, Superman? I think Superman Returns. But it just spazzed out. I didn't like. I wasn't hot up on Superman anymore. I had outgrown that Superman, and even though the story was kind of sober and everything, I had outgrown Superman. You know, there was no attraction to me in Superman. You know, the kind of comics that we had now, and what Batman kind of set the trend for comics, Superman became very uninteresting. And there was a time for Christopher Reeve. I know that Patty Jenkins, you know, she loved Superman. She was Wonder Woman and all of that, and she embodies that. But I really didn't dig that much. And when I was a kid, I loved it because, of course, as a kid, you know, you love things, but you outgrow things. So yeah, that was it for me. And then, of course, a lot of people talked about Inception. Christopher Nolan stuff. Inception was remarkable. I loved Inception. I love a couple of Christopher Nolan's films, but the Batman trilogy just never vibed with me. I mean, I was studying, I was doing research. 2005, the first Batman Begins, I went to go to the States to study, so I didn't really see it in real time. And when I actually saw it, it was so long and boring to me. I've never really watched it again. And then The Dark Knight was great, though. The Dark Knight was great. He did well with casting Heath Ledger. And you know what's the sad thing about that, though? The sad thing about that is that Heath Ledger actually was, you know, people really dug into Heath Ledger, Brokeback Mountain, and they hated on the dude. I liked Heath Ledger's movie, especially the one with the knight. When he was playing the knight, not the knight, but the soldier, the guy who was the gladiator kind of thing on the horse. I always liked Heath Ledger's movie. I didn't like Brokeback Mountain. Of course, I didn't like that, but still. I mean, Michael Keaton, he was like Beetlejuice. They were like, Beetlejuice? You're going to put Beetlejuice to be Batman? How's that going to work out? You know, even Ben Affleck. You know, Ben Affleck was to be Batman. And people were like, even me, I was like, Ben Affleck? Ben Affleck! Affleck! So, you know, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, yeah, didn't really like the Batman series, except for The Dark Knight. I like The Dark Knight because of Heath Ledger, not really. I mean, I'm being overly critical of it. I did like how they did the Harvey Dent twist on it, and how Batman lost, you know, his girlfriend, who was Harvey Dent's wife, girlfriend at the time too. So I did like the twist in the story. And even how Batman ended up having to put away the cape because, you know, he was having to take the responsibility for Harvey Dent's death and the explosions of the bombs, which, you know, he didn't do. And I'm surprised people just so hated Batman that they just kind of took the blame for it. But I like the story. I did like the Dark Knight story, okay? The Dark Knight Rises, nope. I mean, nope. Nope. Just doesn't work. But it is what it is. So, that was Christopher Nolan. So I wasn't really interested in Batman like I was way back when I was a teenager. And it's because, again, I had other things to do. Life was much more serious. Reality. I was more interested in reality. So when 2013 came around, 2012, 2013, I was busy with life and teaching and kids and school. Then up pops this thing, Man of Steel. And people talking about it a lot. And they're talking about this director. His name I can't remember at the time, you know. And then later on, I find out that this director is this gentleman here, you know. And at the time, I didn't really care about him. I didn't even care about Henry Cavill. I was like, who is this? Another Christopher Reeves? Oh, they're trying to do another Christopher Reeves movie. And from my understanding of how they do Superman in movies, he's this gentleish kind of guy. He's charming. He smiles a lot. You know, he poses a lot. And he really doesn't do shit. At the end of the day, he might save a truck or a bus or something. But so I don't really feel it, right? I wasn't interested. And then I saw this trailer where this trailer really made it everything, because I always thought that Superman was like this pretty boy and Lois always falls for him, and that was kind of basically the story, and he'd behave like a goofy idiot. But I must say though, Smallville was a movie Smallville was a television series I loved. Okay, that Superman was dope. Even though he never really was Superman throughout the series until later. I liked it. But anyway, that's besides the point. Here was this gentleman. He was trying to put out Zack Snyder. Was his name. And I saw him and he was kind of bumbly and he talked and he wouldn't finish his sentences. And I was like, oh my God, that's the director? You serious? And then I saw this dramatization. Lois Lane was interrogating Superman. And she was saying, so what does the S stand for? And Superman says, it's not an S. On my planet, it means hope. And she says, well, here, it's an S. That got me, man. Zach, you got me right there. Yes, sir. So that made me curious because, one, I never thought that the big old symbol on Superman's chest was not an S. I didn't know it was a symbol, and I didn't think of Superman as, you know, having a different world. So that got me. And then how he answered Lois, you know, telling her no, was very interesting as well. And then Lois responding rather quickly, well, here it's an S, you know, very intelligent, smart, and just like, you know, deciding to win the argument. I thought it was just so interesting that I started delving into this thing. I used to see most of the trailers that show Superman flying up into the sky, and I really didn't care. And the posters were showing flying up in the sky, and I thought, oh my God, not another, what do you call that, non-violent kind of Christopher Reeve movie. Oh my God, they're going to try again. They failed the first time with Brandon Roth. They're going to do it again. But the discussion intrigued me until I saw General Zod talking about my citizen. This citizen is living among you. He looks like you. He will behave like you, but he's not one of you. And I was like, what the hell? You know, I started to fanboy out. I was like, this is very interesting, and the music's going vroom, 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 and you know that alien song, dum, 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 dum. I was like, woo! Now I'm getting interested. Okay, this movie looked like it got some action, and then, you know, the drums with the shoot. The drum started playing, man, and I saw Superman punching Zod through the air, and I was like, hello! I think I need to see this one in the theater. And I would always, like, I'm working or whatever, and I would be searching the internet for more of this Man of Steel stuff because I'm teaching, right? And I'm busy with life. And shit, Zack caught me, man. He hooked me with that, and I've never been the same since. I went and saw that movie 6 times. I remember seeing it the first time, and I said, no, I gotta see this in IMAX. Because Zack had an ad out there, and he was promoting IMAX, and I was like, I gotta see this in IMAX. And I went and bought a ticket for IMAX. I think I paid $100. Shit, that was crazy money, man. I just went to IMAX and watched this movie. And I left the movie smiling, but I was like, I got to see this movie again. I didn't care what the critics said. I really didn't care at the time. I was like, I need to go see this movie again. That never happened to me. I went to see the Matrix in the Matrix Revolutions and the other Matrix. I went to see it once in the cinemas. I never went back. Spider-Man, I went in the cinema. I never went back. I was a big grown-ass man. Didn't really care about comics and comic books. I thought I'd outgrown those things. And here was Zack Snyder. He got me so hard that I went back into the cinema 6 times and saw that movie. And then I knew, shit, I gotta read up on Zack Snyder. Who is this dude? Who is this guy? Got me going into the cinema 6 times and paying all this money to see this movie. Then I got the movie on DVD. I got it on Blu-ray. And to this day, I watch Man of Steel. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's how I got introduced to the DCEU, ladies and gentlemen. It's like any Zack Snyder movie now, I'm anticipating it. Like, you know. And I say this to say, well, Batman v Superman got worse. It didn't matter what the critics were saying. It didn't matter the Rotten Tomato score. Your boy was going to the cinema religiously to see this movie, and I invited people to go, and it was ridiculous. Let me just tell you, it was ridiculous. Okay, I went to see that movie 10 times. I'm saying this and I'm laughing now. I went to see that movie 10 times in the cinema. I couldn't get enough of the movie, and I needed to piece together the movie. The first time I saw the movie, I hated Lex Luthor. But I couldn't keep my eyes off of him, and it was one of the funniest things in the world. You're watching this movie, you're piecing it together, you're so alert, you're like, yes, okay. Then I get scared by the dream, the nightmare dream with the bat flying out of the thing, and I'm like, oh my god, this movie's scaring me and all that. You know, and it got the suspense thing going, and it had the little action thing going, and where Superman just blocks Batman, and everyone's so angry because Batman's behaving bad, and the entire cinema was cheering for Batman. Okay, when he was doing the car chase scene with that car, and he was like, and you hear the death music going, dum 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 dum, ding dum 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 dum. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Batman. I hadn't had so much fun with Batman since what's his name? I forgot the name. It was kind of sadistic and yet heavy, and it was just, you know, and Batman's face in the car is like a death and judgment. I was like, oh, I hadn't had so much fun like that since Tim Burton's Batman. Ben Affleck's Batman reminded me a lot of Tim Burton's Batman, but in a realistic sense. And yes, people die, you know, people die, but he was more, Batman in this movie was so much more viscerally imposing. He was scary, and you could see he wanted to scare the shit out of anyone that was a criminal. He found great joy in just scaring people. And so he was called the Bat, and he seemed to have taken it to a whole other level according to the Ultimate Cut. But You know, Batman, the music, dun 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 dun, oh my gosh. Woo. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Okay. And of course, the people in the cinema, they were just like, they were just enjoying Batman until he slammed into Superman. They were angry with Superman. But it was really cool because most people don't really like Superman. I don't know why. But I think the Boy Scout thing and the straight face thing and the fact that Superman doesn't really kill people, but Batman, he could kill people. He's like a vigilante. He just kill people if he wants to. Even though in this movie, Batman v Superman, Batman didn't do a lot of killing. But he was freaking brutal, man. He was branding people. You know, he'd smash cars on top of people. He did not care about the villains. He like had no heart for the villains. He got brutal. You know, he was viscerally brutal. You know. And he was just hell-bent on getting at Superman. He was like, he said something, I can't remember what it was, to Superman after Superman flew up into the sky. But yes, Zack got me with Batman, man. And Batman was turning to the dark side for sure. And you know, Alfred kept on warning him, and Alfred was trying. And you know, in the ultimate cut, you heard Alfred saying, "The House of Wayne has fallen." You know. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I love the movie. So I couldn't get enough of it. And that's when I realized, and I went back in the cinema to find out information about the movie. So I kept on coming back to it. Anytime I go back to watch a movie again, it's because I want to see something else that I missed in the movie. But, you know, Zack did that for me. And what Zack did with Man of Steel, he got me to realize that a hero doesn't just appear out of nowhere. A hero is formed over time, and you know, it's about doing the best you can, and that's what Superman is very decisive in Man of Steel. You know how he takes action with Zod. He was thrust into that position. You know, Zod just kind of appeared, and then you know Superman had to be Superman to the world. And I get now, Zack Snyder was able to help me understand why Superman. He had one persona as the hero of the world to try to save the world, and then he hid as Clark Kent. It's because his parents tried to protect him. So that's why he doesn't walk around the world saying, "I am Kal-El." You know, he doesn't tell everyone he's Kal-El. He tells everybody his Earth name, Clark Kent, and he doesn't associate Clark Kent with Superman. So I was really happy to see that I understood the secret now. His parents paid a price. His father paid a price to protect him from the world. Because if they knew that he was the alien, they would go after him. And even when Superman turned out to be a good guy, you remember, before all of this happened, they couldn't discriminate him from the other Kryptonians because he was one of them. And they were shooting at him and shooting him up. And then, you know, a little later on, you know, when Superman saves the world and stuff and he becomes Clark Kent and he's in the Daily Planet, you know, he's not a victim of attack and assault by people, as we learn in Batman v Superman, who hate him, right? So in a way, it was good for him to be two different things. His parents tried to protect his identity as a child. They tried to downplay certain things as a child, and it helped him out. Then you see that in Batman v Superman, it was a good thing that he was protected, because what he had to face from the world was horrendous, right? And you saw the sacrifice. And what Zack Snyder kind of encouraged me on the path was, and this is real practical stuff, do good irregardless of how people see you. Sometimes people see you as the villain. Like people see Zack Snyder as hurting comic book movies right now. But Zack's always been constantly giving stuff that's worthy for people to know. Something that I applied in my daily life was continue to do good even when you're discouraged from doing so because people are actively looking to hurt you for doing good. Continue to do good anyway, which is what that story in Superman was about, where Superman was discouraged for a minute after he tried to do good and more bad things kept on happening. But when he went and he kind of reflected on things, you know, kind of remembering what his father said on that mountain, it wasn't a conversation he had with his father, but it was him reflecting on thoughts. Superman was able to regroup and go back. And you saw Wonder Woman even give up on mankind in Wonder Woman, the movie, with Chris Pine. And Chris Pine had to go and keep on going. So, I mean, It happens with every single hero. At some point in time, each one of us has doubted ourselves and the goal and our purpose for being in this world, because it seems as though more bad things happen to us. So I really loved Man of Steel for that reason. I didn't like the hee hee ha ha movies, and I really didn't identify with Marvel movies. I'm a realist, and I was a big grown-ass man. So to get me to go into the cinema to actually watch a superhero movie, you had to have something that actually could relate to real life for me. And Zack Snyder twice did it. No strikes for Zack Snyder. You know, so for me, Zack Snyder's done a great job, and there's no way he can be blamed for DCEU's problems. If anything, it's the people who have been negative about Zack Snyder's movies and stuff. I would say, though, that people like me, the people who were really excited about the DCEU after seeing Man of Steel, we realized what the backlash with Batman v Superman. We started getting proactive. Man of Steel gives hope. Shout out to you, Man of Steel gives hope. I saw your video. You know, we started forming Facebook groups, and we started forming a whole set of active things. We started building up sites for Suicide Squad. We started building up a community for Wonder Woman. We started building up communities for Justice League. And we started pumping in positive energy to people and debunking lies about these films, because we realized that these films literally change our lives. I remember one of my subscribers, I forgot your name, my friend, talking about Zack Snyder says it's just a movie. No, it's not just a movie. For him, it changed his life. And I gotta say, and if Zack Snyder needs to hear this, Zack Snyder, some of your movies actually changed. It helped my life. It made me a stronger person, and it made me more dedicated to doing good things in the world, even when it doesn't look like it matters. You know, in Batman v Superman, Superman didn't know that Batman's mother was Martha, like his mother. He never knew it. Throughout the entire movie, he never knew that Batman's mother was his mother's name. Had the same name. Superman said, save Martha. He didn't know what he was doing. In just the same way, I've learned that each one of us as people, sometimes we do a kind act not knowing the consequence of it, how it transforms someone else's life who is going down the path of doing something evil or ending their lives. And a smile or something positive, something unexpected that they didn't calculate, changes their lives. And that's what happened with Superman to Batman, and that's what Zack shared with me. You know, so I don't know about other people, but I absolutely am glad Zack Snyder started off the DCEU, and just the way he did it, and how comic book related he is with everything, and all the Easter eggs, and all of the little nuances about human nature, and you know, just some of the subliminal messages sent in his visuals, and just so much that Zack has done, so many layers he's put in these movies. It's a labor of love for him. And even though people have, you know, castigated his movies and talked ill about his movies, there are people out there that loved his movies. And that's why your movies made box office, Zack. Because of people like me who, we loved your movies. We really did. And we so much saw value in it, we just wanted our whole set of people to see it with us. And that's, I guess, one of the reasons why your movies did so much good in the box office. Unfortunately for Watchmen, at the time, we didn't have people who really bought into your movies and saw the value of your movies like now. So, what does this mean? This means that if Zack Snyder is not to blame for the DCEU, and actually there's a bunch of people like myself who are realists who really don't have time for comic book movies, but because Zack made it so realistic and real to us, we started getting invested in it, and we mobilized people. That's why Suicide Squad did so well, because people mobilized people to go see the movie, and then other people loved the movie and the marketing and everything, and people loved Harley Quinn and all of that, and the screenings went well, and with all that mobilization for behind these movies, they did well. It didn't matter what the critics said. They were critic proof because people bought into the DCEU. They bought into what Zack Snyder's vision was. And they mobilized people to want to see the movies. And people started to see, okay, people started to turn around. Oh, this is what these movies are about. Oh, that's what Batman v Superman was about. All the videos I put out, all the videos people put out about these movies, the value in them, people started to change their thinking about the movies because people come around to something new. I just want to say Justice League is coming up, and I want to say that Warner Brothers, yes, Patty Jenkins did a wonderful movie with Wonder Woman, but please, Zack Snyder's movie Justice League, let it be a Zack Snyder directed movie. Joss Whedon, I just ask you, I know you guys have gathered your data and everything, but let it be a Zack Snyder movie. When I look at this movie, I want it to be a Zack Snyder movie because Zack Snyder's the director for it. Joss Whedon's just helping out. And Whedon will get his name in the credits, but let it be a Zack Snyder movie. It's very important that it be a Zack Snyder movie. Zack has usually something really incredibly good to say. Yes, his movies are somewhat offensive at certain points in time. I was offended by, what's his name? Jesse Eisenberg's character. I hated Jesse Eisenberg's character. He was a character that I wanted to hate all the time, like JR from Dallas. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. That was a soap opera back in the 80s. But Lex Luthor is a character you would love to hate. You fear him after the explosion, but you hate him all the way through the film. You hope that he gets killed. And that's great, because that's what the character was designed to be. It was a little bit funny at times, too. But he's scary, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing Jesse Eisenberg's character again in Justice League. I don't want movies that just soothe me and everything I wanted in a movie I want to see. I don't want movies like that. I want movies that challenge me. I like Zack Snyder's movie because it challenges you. There's going to be something it's going to grate on a nerve, and you're going to ask yourself why. It's because I expect a certain superhero trope, and Zack Snyder says, no, but that's not how the real world works. And that's what I love about Zack. You know, he's a really nice guy, and I'm really sorry that his daughter died, committed suicide, of all things in the world, man. And I really would like Zack to come back and do the DCEU movies. He gets so much hate for no reason at all. He's just a director. But it is what it is. And I love Zack, okay? I love Deborah. I love Patty. I love all directors, actually, that do comic book movies. I'm not invested in any other comic book movies, really, because I'm a realist. And I don't waste time watching stuff that is just entertainment. I mean, I did watch Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's a once in a lifetime sort of thing. I wanted laughs, so I went and watched it. Okay, but I'm not interested in just going in for laughs. I'm not just interested in wasting my money on a comic book movie. I want something that actually saying something. Spider-Man was with great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. That's what I took from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Beautiful story. Tragedy. How he fell out with his uncle. The last time he would see him alive. The guy who he let get away because he didn't care and was indifferent ended up killing his uncle. I always remember these movies because these movies say value people while they're alive. Also, don't take things for granted. And don't feel that just because something happens to someone else, it won't happen to you. Be your brother's keeper, and care about other people. So Spider-Man was a very instructive movie at the time. And I'm just saying that comic book movies with value, that's what I care about. Never cared about the Avengers. Sorry, Joss Whedon, I didn't care about it. I wasn't just for entertainment's sake. I always thought that a storyteller is telling you a story because at the end of it, he will say the moral of the story is, that's how I always grew up. I grew up with Bill Cosby and the Brady Bunch and a ton of movies that always had a moral to the story. Even the superhero movies had a moral to their story. So I'm old school like that. So if you're going to go and give me garbage like Deadpool, I don't care about Deadpool because it's garbage to me. I'm not interested in people who just curse and swear and kill people and stuff, and he's edgy and that's what you like, a talkative kind of Spider-Man character. No, I'm not interested in that. Alright? So you got to understand, that's what I'm about. So, in short, what I'm saying is Zack Snyder's not to blame for any DCEU problems. Mostly I think that's external. People who had expectations about certain DCEU movies were not willing to give a challenge, which is the average person. They don't like change. And they wanted what they wanted, and Zack didn't give them what they wanted, so they wanted to bad talk Zack. Not really looking at the inherent virtue of what the story was. They wanted something else. And I'm not saying that the advertising didn't lead them astray somewhat, but then by now you know what a Zack Snyder movie is going to be. It's going to challenge you. It's going to make you think differently. Justice League should be that kind of movie. If it's not, then I know somebody interfered with it. And I want to say to Warner Brothers, you interfered with Zack Snyder's movies twice. Twice. Okay? The movie The Watchmen, you cut it down. Zack had to cut down that movie. No, let Zack do. James Cameron did it. Full-length movies, Avatar, Terminator, Titanic. Let Zack do his thing, please. Just allow him to do his thing. It will pay off in the end. Let Zack tell his story. And even though Zack is not there right now, Josh Whedon, please respect Zack, honor him. Don't just change the story. Don't try to create your image of heroes. Stay with the script. Be faithful to the script, and just let it be what it is. Okay? Don't rewrite the script. Don't rewrite what Zack has done. Okay? Please, goddammit, don't do that. So, too many cooks in the broth. I don't want that. You can do whatever you want with the James Wan film and the films onwards, but let Zack Snyder have his film. I don't care what the critics say. I never really cared too much about what they say, especially with this Zack Snyder's films, because they don't get it. They just don't get his films. So I don't expect them to really enjoy it, right? But for the people who enjoy it, who will carry the movies to over $1 billion and motivate people to go see the movie, to them, please let this movie be what it is. It will pay off. It will make $1 billion. But just let Zack be Zack. Let the director be the director. Warner Brothers. That's all I'm asking you. That's all I'm asking you to do. Okay? The dedicated fans will go and watch the movies a million times if they love it and they're blown away by it. Don't worry about it. And it's not a Transformers movie. Don't worry about it. It's not just Michael Bay blowing up things. And I'm not disrespecting Michael Bay. He just doesn't have a whole lot of story usually, right? Even though people can find virtue in what he's doing, it's nowhere on the level of BVS or Man of Steel. It's just not. So, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is the people talk about a fantastic blowing up end credit scenes. Well, it's a comic book movie. What do you expect? And the fact that it's grand scale blowing up and stuff is because they're superpowered beings. Don't ever expect them. And Zack, don't ever cow to these people. You do the massive, explosive fight scenes that need to be done because these are superpowered beings. What do you expect? It's shown in the animated series. So it's supposed to be so in real life. You have to stay true to the comics. You have to stay true to whatever you're doing. So Zack Snyder, if it's going to be fireworks, it's going to be fireworks. The only thing I'm saying is, I would like to see what is happening all the time. So, in other words, don't make the scenes so bright or so dark that I can't see what's happening. Wonder Woman was pretty good. The action scenes, I could actually see what was happening when she was fighting Ares. But in certain scenes in the movie, it was so dark in 2D, and this is just for Patty Jenkins to know. In certain scenes, it was pretty dark. I had to really squint and fight to see what was happening on the screen in 2D. It wasn't the greatest viewing experience, and also it wasn't the best screen in the world. But like how you do a masterpiece CD or a masterpiece piece of music that can play on any set and it sounds good, I think you may want to check and see that. Test it out on every single theater and every single screen, the sound as well as the video. And by the way, Wonder Woman looked great, okay? In 2D, it looked great in 2D. It's just that certain patches of it are just a little too dark for us to see what's exactly going on there. I guess in IMAX, you'd be able to see it a lot better. But I just wanted to say that's my only little gripe with the story in terms of that. And of course, my other thing with Wonder Woman, which is not a big deal because it is a fantasy film, and I understood why Patty Jenkins went that way. If you're gonna pull in the Christopher Reeve feel, the Superman, the Donner Superman feel, you have to kind of suspend reality a bit and be more fantasy. So you had to walk that line, Patty Jenkins. I understand, but it feels like the least grounded, realistic superhero movie at certain points. Just because the way how you had to stall it to get the humor, and sometimes you had to stall it to get the emotional moment. I know it is Wonder Woman or Diana's recap of things, so when she's recapping, the reality kind of warps. So I get it, but those little things kind of, I'm a realist. I'm a realist person, so it's kind of hard for me. But other than that, I mean, that's just my personal gripe. It's not. But the darkness is pretty important because I think you need to see everything that's happening on that screen. And even if it's dark, you must be able to see everything that's happening on the screen, And that's the only thing, it's my only gripe. And it happened only in a couple spots. When she was on Themyscira in the night and she had to jump to the tower. Another place where it was kind of a problem was in the night when she was confronting Ludendorff and they were having the fight scene. It was kind of a little bit hard to see. There, it was visible. You could see it, but it felt sort of like I had to squint to see what was happening to get all the details. I know it's not a digital thing; it's film, but still, I just want to know, the details of something. Of course, it's probably wonderful on IMAX, and it's probably wonderful, in Dolby Digital, and it's probably wonderful when I get the digital copy. The digital copy of BVS I got is not as sharp as, say, maybe other digital copies. So I really want a better digital copy of BVS. It doesn't feel exactly like one I saw online. And I really want a sharp digital copy of Wonder Woman. I don't have a digital copy of Suicide Squad. I wasn't really interested in getting a digital copy. The only two digital copies I have of the DCEU films is Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. I just look at Suicide Squad online. But I really would love to get a copy of Wonder Woman. And I'm definitely going back in the cinema to see some other things. I have some questions about certain things that happened in the movie, and I know it's in there, but I just kind of overlook them. And yeah, the story seems straightforward, but there's some other things going on in Wonder Woman which I really want to check out. And there's some questions I have about the ending of Wonder Woman, how it ties into Batman v Superman, and how it ties into Justice League going forward. So I'm really interested in how, I just really want to kind of get that settled in my mind. So I need to go back and see it again, and then I have to go back and see it probably a third time just to pinpoint certain things. And then when it comes out online on DVD or Blu-ray, I'll probably buy the DVD and Blu-ray, and then I look at some extra stuff that was happening there, so I can just kind of get a good idea. I'm not really interested in extended cuts or anything. I'm just trying to get the picture of how Wonder Woman fits into the Justice League movie coming forward, and how she kind of fits into BVS from before. Because there were some things she said in BVS that make sense now because of Wonder Woman. And going into Justice League, it kind of makes sense as well. But I don't know if it'll happen, but I hope Justice League can clarify some things that were in Wonder Woman. I don't know if Joss Whedon on Zack Snyder, they may couple up together and just kind of iron that little stuff out, because I'm not quite sure what was that she said. At the end of BVS, she said some stuff talking about walking away from mankind, and then in the end of Wonder Woman, you see that, okay, everything's peaceful, but she's not declaring to the world that she's Wonder Woman or Diana. She's just kind of walking around people. So I'm not quite sure how that fits together with everything. I know the war was over. I'm not too sure how she feels about mankind either. She looks hopeful still, and Gal Gadot talks about her being very hopeful, but yet at the same time, in BVS, she was saying that a world where man actually work together, all men work together, it seems impossible. So, and Ben Affleck was encouraging her on that, and I'm not too sure. She could still be hopeful, and she could still be in Wonder Woman all that time with her suit and everything, because she seemed to have her suit on call on the plane, and her sword and everything, and she went back and fought Doomsday. So that means she was Wonder Woman in the world, but she was also masquerading as Diana Prince undercover, right? Just like Superman was. So she has this dual personality. So I'm kind of curious, because even at the end of Wonder Woman, which is post Batman v Superman, because Bruce Wayne drops the authentic copy to her, you see her, the spoilers, you see her flying off as Wonder Woman. So I know she's been Wonder Woman all the time. So it's not that in BVS she was discouraged from being Wonder Woman. She has been Wonder Woman, and she's been doing things wrong. But what does she mean by a long time ago, 100 years ago, I kind of stepped away from mankind? What does she mean by that exactly? I'm not too sure. So I'm not too sure. The naive Wonder Woman, she was like not afraid to be Wonder Woman. Like she was like, I'm stepping out as Wonder Woman. Now she's like Diana Prince undercover and Wonder Woman in the open. I don't understand what's going on there. So, and even when Bruce Wayne said, you are Wonder Woman, and she was like, okay, my cover's a little bit broken here. All right, let me see if I can help out this dude here. When Doomsday, she came and helped out Batman, right? And that's typical Wonder Woman. She likes to help people, right? So that's consistent with the Wonder Woman story. I just can't piece the thing together completely. But anyway, here's my bottom line, okay? My bottom line is, me and a whole bunch of people would like Zack Snyder's Justice League to represent what Zack Snyder basically directs. We don't want some other director, okay? We don't want some other feel. We want a Zack Snyder feel, okay, to the movie. And finally, I'm glad Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman, God bless her soul, she really did well, and DCEU got good critical ratings, and it's a well-accepted film. I'm loving that. But I would not want the DCEU to go forward with that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? That kind of direction only. Okay? I don't want that style of directing alone. There's many different directors. So I hope that the flavor and style changes from director to director. And I have no problem if the movies are heavy and they are not necessarily what people deem as hopeful. Okay? I have no problem with that because that's not why I came to the DCEU. In other words, it will be a hopeful movie. I mean, even Batman v Superman was a hopeful movie. It definitely was. I mean, that's what it was all about. But people didn't take it like that. But don't sacrifice the style of a director just to appease people. You know, like I said, you saw the article that said that the Justice League is to determine the DCEU's future. No, it's not to determine the DCEU's future. The DCEU's future is fine because we've just seen 4 DCEU movies. And they all raked in money, and they're raking in money. And also, on top of that, the people who are watching these DCEU movies are loving them. Okay? So, and then there are more people coming to watch DCEU movies. So I'm cool with what the DCEU is doing so far. And I hope Warner Brothers can keep that track record going. Of course, they would love to have a critical assessment of their films. Good. But if the critics don't see the value in the films, if the audience does, that's what matters. Okay? Sometimes critics just don't get it. And it's okay. Or sometimes it takes them a while to get it. Like, for instance, the Fast and the Furious. It took them a while to get to like the Fast and the Furious. And I think with the DCEU, things are changing. Even though Patty Jenkins gave a really good film. You know, she did give a really good film that was universally accepted. And kudos to her. She followed the game plan. But I don't want that. I don't just want that kind of game plan. That's cool, but all the movies cannot be like that. Okay? I don't want the movies to be like that. Zack Snyder does his way of directing. I'm cool with that. I accept it. I understand what Zack Snyder brings to the table. I like what Zack Snyder brings to the table. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in this DCEU. I wouldn't care about nothing. I wouldn't be caring about comic book movies right now. It's Zack Snyder that's got me caring. So you guys got to bear that in mind. There's a big demographic that supports the DCEU. You hear them already saying, we don't want no Marvel film. You hear the DCEU fans saying that. Okay? They don't like it. They don't like hee ha ha all over the place. And they like realism. Okay? A lot of the DCEU, I'm not talking about DC fans and Dark Knight fans and Nolan fans. I'm talking about the DCEU fans that are keeping the DCEU afloat monetarily. They like realism. They like movies that are not hee hee ha ha all the time. They like the tone that Zack Snyder has started for the DCEU. I'm just saying. So that when you guys bear in mind and you want to talk about heroes and all these things and you want to go down that line that you're going down, just remember the people who got you there. Okay? Because if they don't see it, they're just going to lose interest in it. And okay, kiddie movies and stuff, and okay, popcorn, and all right, okay, cool. So don't head down that line, okay? I hear Jeff Johns. Oh yes, I like how superheroes were when I was a child. Yeah, but see, you're a big grown ass man now. I'm just saying. Identify also with superheroes that adults will like as well. So you gotta balance it. You can't just have kiddie stuff going on. You gotta also think about what adults would like. What adults will, and don't just think about it as emotional things that makes people move. You got to intellectually stimulate them too. So when your balancing act comes forward, you need to have a piece of emotion, you need to have a piece of intellect, you need to have the films witty, intelligent, and something that will test us, make us think about something in a different way. Wonder Woman worked because it made us think about Wonder Woman in a different way. You know, a lot of people didn't know about the character in detail. They knew about the character by name, but not really a much backstory on her. And with Zack Snyder, I think Zack Snyder makes us do that. So please, don't just deviate from Zack Snyder's stuff. You know, I know Joss Whedon's going to do his thing anyway. So I'm cool with Joss Whedon doing his thing. Just make sure it's a Zack Snyder film, Joss Whedon. Please do not do rewrites and rewrite Zack Snyder's stuff. And then, you know, this thing ends up being a mishmash and you dilute down Zack Snyder's stuff, and it's confusing to people because it's two different directors that directed the film. Don't let it be a Fantastic Four experience. I'm not saying it's going to be a Fantastic Four experience, but I mean like where there's a confusion in the tone of the movie because a different director took it up and decided to do it a certain way because of instruction of other people who saw a film critically be successful, so they decided, all right, we're going this way now. No. Stay the course. You can always survive this film and go on to the next film and do what you're doing. But for this film, let it be what it is. Because some people actually get touched by these films. It really mattered to them. It changes their lives. Okay, guys. Shout out to you guys. If you as subscribers agree with me on that and you like BVS more than any other comic book movie out there of recent times, then please give me a shout out in the comment section below, and also say hell yeah. Let's show them what the army is of DCEU fans. Send this to every single DCEU fan, every single DCEU fan who's looking forward to Justice League, every single DCEU fan, not DC fan, because there's some DC fans who are not DCEU fans. They think it's a murderverse. They think it's a Snyderverse. I think it's beautiful. That's why I came to the DCEU, okay? Let's make a statement to Warner Brothers. Let them see our army of people. Let's see the people who've been agitating things with the DCEU, who've been fighting along with Warner Brothers to make sure that this thing is a success. Let them see who they are. And we don't hate the MCU. A true DCEU fan loves all comic book movies and is not about to say anything hateful about any comic book movie. We're just here to see the DCEU prosper, but at the same time, we really came to the DCEU because of Zack Snyder, and therefore, we don't worship him as a god, but we just think that if he's directed a film, let it be fair. 2 times, Warner Brothers, you guys messed with his films. You messed with Watchmen. I didn't like that. And you messed with Batman v Superman. I didn't like that. Please don't mess with Justice League. Let Zack Snyder's vision come to fruition. I don't care what all the other DC people in the DC industry are saying. Please let Zack Snyder do his film, because we, the DCEU fans, who are really truly DCEU fans, who like the DCU because of what Zack Snyder brought to the table, we really want to see that movie happen. Otherwise, you may lose us. We may, work for the DCEU and then be like, oh, campaign for Zack Snyder. When we go and watch it, the day or the night when we see that showing up the film, and we realize, oh snap, they changed these films. They changed the tone of the film. They went through Zack Snyder's film and they changed everything, and they feel this is how they feel about heroes, and we just don't like that. We just don't like that. You get a backlash now from the guys who are holding you up, and then they just abandon you. And then all of a sudden your DCEU universe is fall under because the film flops. Then you're going to blame Zack Snyder. And when you blame Zack Snyder, we won't care because we're not watching the DCEU anymore. You know what I'm saying? So there's a consequence if you don't do it right. When a certain director is doing a film, don't disrespect him. Don't hate on him. Let him finish his film. Let the critics go through him and hate on him. But let us the fans show the public what it is. Show the public what kind of film we're getting. Okay? When we go and see it, we'll give the good word of mouth. We'll mobilize people to get to see the film. The critics can do whatever they want. They can rot in hell for all I care. It's about people seeing and experiencing the film. Alright? And then discussing the film after, because I love what Zack Snyder brings to the table. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, I was not hot up on his Walking Dead, Dawn of the Dead, or whatever it was, and I wasn't hot up on 300. But Sucker Punch, Watchmen, Batman v Superman, and Man of Steel, I'm high on those movies because I realized the content Zack Snyder put into those movies. Okay, Sucker Punch it flopped at the box office. Al Zagalu flopped at the box office as well. I never seen Al Zagalu. I must go and watch that movie. But Zack Snyder's films, man, they have that beauty in them. There's always something deeper going on with Zack Snyder's films. It may hurt you, it may offend you, but it's something deeper that you can actually use in your life. So I need to see me Zack Snyder, not some watered down bullshit. Please don't do that. Please don't do it, Warner Brothers. Whatever you feel about heroes, keep it to yourself and just let Zack Snyder do his thing, please. Please keep it to yourself. Because there's a group of people who are dying to see Zack Snyder do another film, another video, another stuff, because they get value in it. It's literally relatable to real life, okay? So please don't tamper with Zack Snyder stuff, okay? That's all I'm asking. Because it's a Zack Snyder film, right? He's directing it, right? What, Joss Whedon, you're directing the film. Please don't tamper on Zack Snyder's film, okay? I'm just saying. Let it be on Zack Snyder. If Zack Snyder says, okay, yeah, Josh Whedon, that looks good. That looks good. He may be disinterested and he doesn't matter anymore because he's saying, oh, it's just a movie. I got to deal with my family. Okay, no, it's not just a movie, Zack Snyder. You know that. You know that, Zack. You know that. But I know Fox and the Grapes thing, and you got to walk away. But I'm saying, man, please, guys, please, Warner Bros. Don't butcher Zack Snyder. You always butcher his good films, man. Gosh. I just hope Zack Snyder can come back and watch it. It's because I'm worried, man. I'm really worried. The tone that people are talking about in Justice League and Joss Whedon, and it's cool with Joss Whedon. I like Joss Whedon and everything. I don't like Avengers, but I like Joss Whedon. I love me, Mr. What's his name? Guardians of the Galaxy, man. Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn. I love James Gunn. See, James Gunn made Marvel what it really is. He said, okay, if you're going to be Marvel, you're going to be Marvel. This is what Marvel is, And Guardians of the Galaxy is definitely what Marvel is. I dig what James Gunn did. Don't be what you're not. Be what you are, So, I like James Gunn. But at the same time, I like Joss Whedon, too. He did some other pretty good films that I actually digged. But anyway, that's besides the point. I love James Gunn, by the way, but I'm not against Marvel. I'm not against Marvel. Like I said, I went and watched Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll watch it again if I have to. It's still out there. I'll watch it again. Shoot, I don't care. I mean, I got the movie the first time, but I don't have a problem watching it. But at the same time, I want to just say that Zack Snyder, he's the one that's directing this film. So guys, for only the reason that he's directing the film, let him direct the film, please. Because I love me some Zack Snyder, okay? I love me some Deborah Snyder. I love what you guys do. You guys get me to go to the cinema ridiculous amount of times, okay? I'm looking for the next Zack Snyder film. You know how people are looking forward to Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan's film? I'm looking forward to Zack Snyder's film. That's how much I love Zack Snyder's films. I love his films, okay? So, yeah, please. Zack Snyder again, please. Those people who have a problem with Zack Snyder, I'm sorry, guys, but I like Zack Snyder, okay? So, I'm sorry if you don't like Zack Snyder. I'm really sorry. Maybe that's the last DCEU film you'll have to see with Zack Snyder, okay? Maybe Justice League. So just hang on to that, and then after that we get the Aquaman or everything else, okay? But I want Justice League. But for the people who love Zack Snyder, shoot, we'll get you $1 billion, Zack. We mobilize it. We'll get you $1 billion. Just so that Warner Brothers is cool. You can leave them on good terms, and then you can make your own movies or whatever. Look, man. But the thing about it is, we can mobilize that. We can get you $1 million. We can get you $1 billion for Justice League. Don't even worry about it. All right. We getting organized. We DCU fans. We getting organized. We get you $1 billion. It don't really matter what the media say. You saw Donald Trump win, and I don't like Donald Trump, but his grass base, they worked out a strategy, and they won the election. If Donald Trump and they could do that, and they comparing Justice League to Donald Trump, shit, then y'all in for some trouble because grassroots base, but Barack Obama did it too. Grassroots. And Zack Snyder, we bypass all the critics, all the media, everybody, and we just do grassroots stuff, and we get you the $1 billion. We get you over $1 billion. If we want to, we can push it. We really push it. Some of us to die in the process, bro. We can get you up to $2 billion on Justice League. I know it sounds crazy, but we can really do it. We can get frenetic. Fans can drive a movie. And we fans, we DCU fans, we Zack Snyder fans, we make it happen, baby. We can get you $2 billion. You know what I'm saying? We get you that, Zack. Because we love, I'm telling you, man, I don't have a problem going in to see, if it's anything like BVS, I can go into the theaters 20 times. I'm not joking. With a Zack Snyder film, I can get ridiculous. I could spend almost my entire salary. No, I wouldn't do that. But I could blow some money on those films because to me they have a lot of value on them, and I just and just imagine duplicating that. We like, look, guys, this is the plan to get to $2 billion. It's gonna take us going to the cinema 15 times each. You down? I'm just joking. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So you know, fans can do all kinds of things. We have the power in our hands to do all kinds of crazy shit. So, I mean, the fans drive. I mean, Deadpool. You saw what happened with Deadpool. The fans drove that movie, and Deadpool's a load of crap as far as I'm concerned, in terms of content, not in terms of people's wanting to see this character on the screen. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds did a phenomenal job as Deadpool, but Deadpool as a character he's a spoofy dude. That's what he does, you know. Harley Quinn, spoofy, right? Not much substance usually. So it's not that I'm mad at spoofy movies or empty movies. It's just I don't have time for them, you know. But Zack Snyder's films, you know, he's an indie guy who, you know, he thinks differently about the world, and I really vibe with that. So yeah, this is a long video. I can't help it. I really enjoy Zack Snyder's films. How many times did I say that? I must sound like a fanboy right now. I'm probably a fanboy because I fanned out hard on Batman v Superman, man. Shoot, I couldn't get enough of the movie. And movies don't do that to me. You know, The Matrix didn't do that to me. You know, and I got the DVD and everything. I watched the Animatrix over and over and over again. Oh my gosh, the Wachowski brothers, man. I was a big fan of The Matrix, you know what I mean? You know, Zack Snyder made Superman and Batman, and he made these characters so viscerally real for me. It was just very real for me. And I want to thank Zack for that. And Zack, I hope that your family recovers from the suicide of Autumn. She seemed to have been a very wonderful soul, so it's probably doubly hard. You know, we just lost another person recently. It was this week. Was it this week? Yeah. Was it this week? I think, no, last week. Last week we lost a girl. She's just a couple months younger than me. She's 42 years of age. She had a daughter still taken care of, and she died, you know, suddenly. And it's just traumatic when these things happen. I had to go play at her funeral. You believe this thing? 42 years old, and I got to play at the funeral. Another guy, he got shot dead. He was 20 years of age. All he did was give advice to a guy who's a gang member. And that guy chased him down and killed him, you know. And these things hurt. They really hurt. They traumatize families. It's so sudden and so painful. So I can't even imagine how you feel right now with Autumn. I know when my dad passed away, it was a little bit sudden, but he was sick. It affected me for years. That was since 2014. I'm still now recovering from it. And so I can only imagine what the Snyders are feeling right now, and the girl's mother. And what that girl was going through. Depression and just trying to find a purpose sometimes. Sometimes you lose sight of purpose and it gets you depressed. And you feel the world's coming down on you. I don't know why she took her life, but she seemed to have been a very good soul. So this probably triply hurts. But at the end of the day, I hope that Zack Snyder understands that he had an impact on us with his comic book movies. I want him to know that. I also want Patty Jenkins to know that I've never missed the impact that Wonder Woman had on us. And David Ayer, the same thing. You know, you guys are beautiful guys. You're beautiful people to be able to give these kinds of movies to the world. James Gunn, you're a wonderful guy in how you portrayed your pictures and your stories. It brought a lot of meaning to us. And, you know, I always believed old school that a comic book movie, a storyteller should always have a moral to his story. Old school styling. And I got so much morals from Zack Snyder's movies and from, you know, Patty Jenkins. Same sort of theme sometimes, but just couched in a different way with a different story. So I just hope that we can take a sobering moment to understand that in real life, the reality of things, you know, the same things Zack Snyder was talking about in his movie, that in reality, life is not hee hee ha ha, you know. Entertainment is not just about escapism. Sometimes entertainment can be informative, you know, and we have to face reality. Reality has death. Reality has unfortunate things that happen. We as human beings do bad things. You know, that doesn't make us less of a hero. A hero is not someone who does good all the time. You know, this is what these movies tell you. That's what Guardians of the Galaxies tell you. They're not perfect people. When you look at Man of Steel, he wasn't a perfect person. He was making mistakes all along the way. Batman v Superman. Batman was turning to the dark side, for crying out loud. Wonder Woman looked like she was hiding from the world. Maybe she wasn't, but it looked that way. And all I'm saying is we try the best we can. Superman failed so many times, both in Man of Steel and in Batman v Superman. Failed to please everybody. Failed to be that hero everybody could stand behind. Like Christopher Reeve's character, unrealistically, with all the damage and destruction he was doing, got from the world at the time, which was super naive. This world is much more cynical, and they question things. And so that Superman just can't work in this world. And I'm so glad that Zack Snyder was able to do this movie, because that's how the world really is. And he took Superman seriously. For all those people who say Zack Snyder hated Superman, he doesn't take Superman seriously, and Superman helps people and all that, the world he lived in was unforgiving. Superman did so many acts of help. He helped people who were drowning. He helped people save rockets. He went into places and saved people who were on ships in ice in the Arctic. We saw it in Batman v Superman, but people didn't care. People who watched the movie didn't care that Superman was doing those things. They still said he was a murderer and he's in Snyderverse. People didn't care because that's the world we live in. Zack Snyder reflects our world. That's what art does. It confronts us with ourselves. It puts a reflection, a mirror, so we could see ourselves. And then it says we can change. And that's what Zack Snyder's movie did. And I don't know about all you other guys who don't value his movies, and you feel that your superhero should be this way and should be that way, and Zack asks you, what happens under these conditions to this character? Does he stay this way? And people will say, yes, Batman stays that way. No, he doesn't. Not in the real world. Not in the real world. If you're being realistic. And it's cool to be idealistic and so on, and it's cool to want to identify with the good in superheroes who they can do no wrong. But history has shown us that as you get closer and closer to the people who you think are mythically like that, you learn that they have spots and blemishes and they have faults, and you feel like they are lying to you. Haven't you met someone who seems so inspirational, but when you get to know them up close, you realize that they have all these problems, and when they start to drop the problems down on you, you feel, I thought this person was inspiration. They're such a liar. And that's what Zack Snyder did. He put a magnifying glass on Superman. He put a magnifying glass on Batman. He put a magnifying glass on the world. And you guys didn't like it. It was too close for comfort. But yet, you reacted exactly like he put his magnifying glass on. And yet, Zack Snyder encourages you to want to do better, to want to inspire each other, to want to rise up from the ashes like a phoenix. You guys have a great one.